Hi guys, sorry. How are you doing? Oh my gosh, so many people already. Hi there, good to see you. Hi Taz, hi Lauren, hi Joe, hi Crazy Cat, hi Sky, hi Chris, hi Logan, hi Armin, hi Kareen, hi Not a Butter, and hi Auntie. Good to see you guys. Let me just set up TikTok really quick because I was in the middle of a conversation. Ah, um, in the middle of a conversation, so I did not start the TikTok live yet. Hi Gap. How has everyone's week been? Cuz it's been quite a week. It's been a long, long week. Yeah, I it's been a very, very long week, and I like, not bad per se, just, a lot to deal with, and kind of nice, but also kind of like overwhelming. My friend visited from Ukraine, which you guys probably saw if you follow me on Instagram. Her name is Oksana. She is a very good friend of mine from like my teenage years, and it was really nice because hi Brandy, hi Kayla, and it was really, really nice because I haven't seen her in like a very long time. For one, and two, it was nice to see that even though so much time has passed, um, it's the like the relationship kind of stayed the same, and we like jumped right back into it. And it was her birthday, and it was very, very nice. Hi Lauren, hi Dubsy, hi Perm, hi Grumpy, hi Veronica, hi Leona, hi Poverty Barn. Okay, yeah, so there is a lot of mm, there is a lot of things to discuss this week. First of all, there was the Davos summit. There is Rammstein now, and Germany is being very fun. Thank you so much, Melissa. Hi, Apathy. Hi, Zvezda. Wait, Svets. Oh my gosh, I'm blind. But yeah, so there was Davos. There were a lot of positive updates, like Germany is no longer dependent on Russia for its energy sector. It is still very much dependent on import, but the import is now diversified. It's from the world market, and none of it is from Russia, which is like very, very great news, to be honest. Then another thing that happened is the thing with weapons is, like, honestly, even though Germany is being very, 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 very I mean, typical for Germany about leopards. Sorry, Veronica. Even though Germany is being very much a pain in the butt with leopards, a lot of other countries have announced major deliveries of weapons. And Latvia, for one, is giving us like all of their Stingers. Then there is Denmark that's giving us all of their Caesar howitzers. It's just like, I feel like I've never related to when it rains, it pours more than like this week in terms of ammunition supplies for Ukraine, because it's been ridiculous. Um, Also, interesting thing. So you guys, a lot of you have been DMing me and asking me if Instagram took down my post about Azov. It did not. I took it down. So for those of you who are unaware, what happened this week is Meta has come out and said that they're no longer going to be blocking any materials related to Azov Regiment. Um, uh, any materials related to Azov Regiment, as long as they are about the regiment. So there are a few important things that I want to clarify here, and I'm going to clarify them very, very, very like low key in this particular bit, because I'm having a conversation with a certain Azov regiment serviceman that you guys most likely know, but I'm not going to say anything as of yet this weekend. Hi, Natlin. And he reached out to me, and it was funny because he basically reached out to like sort of criticize my video a little bit and be like, hey, I appreciate the help, but with this particular video, you're creating us more problems. And I'm like, cool, I will take it down. But basically, I made a video and I showed 3 chevrons, one of which is still banned, and your posts are still going to get taken down from all Meta platforms if you use it. The chevron is the original chevron from 2014, the one with the sun and with the idea of nations, the blue and yellow one. And that one is no longer in use since 2015 by any other veterans who partook in the original events when Azov was created. Hi, Graham. And then I put the new chevron right next to it, for which you can display it on all Meta platforms. Nothing's going to happen. It is widely accepted, and it's the new regiment's chevron. And then I put another chevron, which is like kind of a trident, but that chevron belongs to SSO Azov, which is Special Forces. And Azov Regiment and all of the other little like Azov SSOs and stuff like that, they're not the same thing. They're not the same thing at all. There might be some people serving in SSO that formerly served in Azov, but the only like Azov regiment and the only Azov that the world has been talking about, has been like blaming in being a Nazi regiment, has been like, has been trying to portray as something they're not, is Azov regiment, the National Guard regiment. And that one has the one chevron. All of these like other, so basically there is one chevron that belongs to Azov regiment, and it's that chevron that goes like this and has the like the thing like that. That's it. Those are not, the other things are not Azov. They just carry the same name. They're completely different things. Special Forces Azov are not the regiment. They have them in Kyiv. They have them in Kharkiv. They have them in a lot of places. But yeah, so that chevron, those chevrons are still allowed. The chevrons are still allowed. They're just not connected to the regiment. So that's like what I didn't explain in the video, because that was not what the video was about. But I see his point where like it could be confusing and damaging in the long run. So I'm going to redo the video. I'm going to explain it, but not until I talk to him, because he very graciously offered to give me all of the information I need to help on the informational front and explain all of these things to me and like all of this stuff, so I know more about what like Azov wants to focus on, like putting out in the world and stuff like that. And you know me, so I'm going to try and ask him to interview him, because I think it's going to be much better received if there is an interview where an Azov regiment serviceman explains the symbolism and all of these things himself than if I do that, especially in English. And I did tell him that I think that they don't see certain things from the informational front that are important, that they don't focus on. Like, you know, a lot of Ukrainian people, most Ukrainian people have seen a ton of interviews with regiment servicemen and are very familiar, obviously, not only because we live in the country, we are very immersed into the informational space, but also because we have all of those interviews and we get to know these servicemen, and English-speaking people don't. So I am going to ask him if he's willing to give me an interview, and if he is, I'm not going to have to translate it from Ukrainian because he speaks English. In fact, he was the Azovstal person who was putting out most of the video addresses in English. And I was like stupefied to open my Instagram today, and it was like, well, hello there. And I'm like, hello there. Anyway, so I am, it was a very interesting experience. I like barely opened my eyes yet, and I was like, oh, hello, nice to meet you. But anyways, let me see what's been going on in the comments while I was blabbering. Evan says, Yulia, I get my ancestry DNA in 2 weeks. Time to find out if I'm 100% Kazakh. Please, God, don't have it be that I'm part Russian. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, the funny thing The funny thing here is that, I did my my DNA, but I didn't do Ancestry. I did 23andMe, and I completely expected to have at least like, I don't know, 30 to 50% of Russian blood, because my mom's parents moved from Russia to Ukraine way back in the day when they were both like toddlers. And I thought I would 100% have lots of Russian blood. Turns out none of them do. And we have zero Russian heritage in our family, like whatsoever. They're Balkan and Baltic and Jewish. And yeah, and my dad's family is like Polish Ukrainian. And I do have some like very odd, like I think I had Northern, I had like, no, I had, well, I had some India, which is like, where did that come from? Thank you, Mariana. Hi. So it's like, so that was very, very interesting, but, and very like unexpected, but yeah. But when I got, in my DNA, I got some Finnish. And I was like, wait, where did Finland come from? And so then that resulted in me and my aunt doing a DNA test for my grandma and my grandpa. And turns out that they thought they were Russian, but that was because their parents were just trying to conform to just say you're Russian, it's easier that way policy. And they were actually Baltic and Balkan and Jewish and Ukrainian. And so that's interesting. And we also found out later on that my grandma's maiden name actually means the different one. And it's a last name that was given to Ukrainian people that were repressed and sent to a gulag. So that makes a lot of sense as to how my grandmother ended up being born in Novosibirsk, Siberia. So yeah. So yeah. But yeah, that's very interesting. Oh, Kayla says I had 14% Spanish for whatever reason. Oh, that's cool. Enio says, welcome to the Balkans. Thank you. Well, my grandfather is, he has like, he's 50% Baltic and 50% Balkan. So that was really cool. But yeah. So we're getting quite a bit of weapons this week, and quite a bit of weapons deliveries. I do want to apologize for delaying the brief. It has been a joyride this week. First, I didn't record it the day that I normally do because there weren't that many news coming out of Ukraine. It was kind of repetitive to the previous brief, so I made an executive decision to push it a day, and then I started recording it, and it was and then that morning, Brovary happened, and that was incredibly sad and just a really hard thing to talk about. I can't believe that a helicopter with basically the top of our Ministry of Internal Affairs just crashed into a kindergarten, and most likely it was genuinely human error, because they were flying at a very, very low altitude in order to not be taken down by like Russian missiles, and they ended up crashing. So there is still, like the investigation is not done, so we actually don't know exactly what happened, but it does look like it was a result of just human error. And that was a lot to take in. And then Davos happened, and there was just so much information coming out of there. So I ended up recording the brief yesterday, and it is currently, if you see behind me, this is WeTransfer, and it's being transferred to John for editing. So it should come out tomorrow morning. And then right after that one, the Monday brief is going to be on schedule because I'm going to cover Rammstein and stuff like that. And another thing is, in the brief, there's going to be probably a large section of weapon deliveries because, well, there is a large quantity of weapon deliveries this time around, which is kind of very interesting and very cool. And I'm incredibly excited because, again, I never thought in my life that I would be excited for things like that, because it's funny, I'm a pacifist, right? I'm a very big pacifist. Like if I would be like dating someone and they would punch somebody in the face, I would most likely not be dating them anymore. I don't think that conflicts are solved with with fists. I think that conflicts should be solved verbally, and if you can't hold your it together, then it's probably not. Then we probably have not like, yeah, our roads are not parallel. So my policy my whole life was like pacifism, but you know, it's interesting because I keep hearing all of these like, Дякую вам. I keep hearing all of these American people being like, oh, weapons to Ukraine. Like, oh my gosh, I'm such a pacifist. Like, I don't understand. Are you not scared that your country is going to be armed to the teeth when this is over? Like, we should stop sending them weapons. Like, peace in the world. Pacifism kills in terms of this invasion, because pacifism in this invasion means that if you don't send Ukraine weapons and if you don't liberate our territories, then there is no peace. Because what does peace mean? Peace means that innocent people are not dying, innocent people are not tortured, innocent people are not suffering. And you think that weapons, well, not you guys, but a lot of people that I encounter think that weapons are going to cause further destruction, further deaths, and further suffering of innocent people. But the thing is that those innocent people live on Russia-occupied territories, and they get tortured, assayed, and they get killed brutally every freaking day. And so not liberating those territories actually doesn't lead to peace. It leads to torment. It leads to torment of those innocent people that never wanted to be part of Russia. And letting an aggressor take a territory just because they want to does not lead to peace either. It leads to what World War II has become. And if we learned anything from there, then if you look at old photos of protests in New York, there are a lot of people walking around with posters saying Hitler didn't attack us, so why are we attacking Hitler? So if any of the people who end up watching this stream, any of the people who watch me, well, I know that you guys don't, but if any of the new people who discover this stream think that the United States needs to stop giving Ukraine weapons because we want peace, then look at the marches on Wall Street against sending weapons and helping defeat Hitler because Hitler didn't attack you. And then remember history and then see why. The thing is that the price of sending Ukraine weapons is high. The price of not sending Ukraine weapons is tremendously high. So I'd like to say that. Also, hi, Mika. Mika. Oh, I like that name. Oh my gosh. That also reminded me about this reminded me of a name of an Estonian eGov app. I'm sorry, but I was just doing it in the brief, and you guys, I need to stop telling you the stuff that I put in the brief, because then what's the point of watching the brief? So just, you know what? Hold on a day, watch the brief. And speaking of new people who might have discovered the stream, let's do the rundown. Hi, my name is Yulia, and I was born and raised in Lviv, Ukraine, and I moved to the United States at age 16, 12 years ago, and I have been living in New York City ever since. Yes. On this channel, 3 times a week, we do stream. Now, 3 times a week, used to be every day. We do live streams where we cover the events, the recent events in Ukraine, everything that you need to know. Basically, we discuss it, we dissect it, we give it historical, geopolitical, and otherwise relevant context, and you can ask me questions. And obviously, I welcome all of the discussion, and all of this is done so everybody understands everything that's happening better. And this stream is happening on 4 different platforms at the same time. I'm still figuring out how to add Facebook to it, but it's Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, and YouTube. And all of my platforms are under the same handle, so it's very easy to look me up. They're also linked in my About or link in bio section, depending on which platform you're at. And on TikTok, you can just press the play button and get straight to my YouTube. My YouTube is a very great resource where I do briefs twice a week. And they're basically under 20-minute rundowns of everything that happened up until that point in the week so far, pertaining to Ukraine or coming out of Ukraine. Basically, everything you need to know. So check them out. They're very, very convenient, obviously in my non-biased opinion. And they're fast. So they're fast-paced. So yes. And obviously all of your gifts, all of your super stickers, all of your super chats, and all of this stuff is incredibly welcome, although not expected, but does go a very, very long way and does help a lot. Thank you, Darlene. And also, if you would like to support my journalism a little further, there is a subscription to TikTok Live available. You can become a member of the YouTube channel. I believe it's $10 a month. And there is also a Patreon at all different price points available in About and link in bio section. And everything is incredibly, incredibly highly appreciated. However, obviously not expected and not demanded, but it is my full-time job since April, and I do live off of my savings, and they are depleting quite fast, and I do need to buy some new gear for recording because it is currently taking me a lot of time to edit the YouTube stuff. And if I had that gear, it'd be way less time. But anyways, that's a me problem, not a you problem. I just overshare quite a bit. Okay. Alrighty. I'm going to jump straight into the news. When I do the news, it's hard for me to read the comments. When I do the news, it's hard for me to read the comments. Hi from Odessa. Hi, Odessa. So if you would like your comments to be definitely answered on YouTube, you are welcome to do the super chat feature because it shows up on the screen in this like bright kind of color, and it's incredibly hard to miss. But if not, then I'm gonna try and answer all of the comments at the end of the stream. Obviously, the paid comments are not the only ones that I'm gonna be answering. It's just that when I am reading the news, they are much easier to see, and they definitely guarantee an answer for you real time. But by the end of the stream, I'll try to catch up on all of the questions that I see. It's just that sometimes I don't see some of them. And where did I put? Okay, well, Cindy is sleeping on it. I was going to look something up, but my dog is sleeping on it, so that's okay. That is okay. Alrighty, while I'm setting up the news, you guys let me know, how was your day? How was your week, rather? It's been a week. It's crazy because, I'm used to having done news every day before. And now that we do them 3 times a week, it's so interesting. I'm like, wow, it's been a while since I've seen you. It's been quite some time. Wait. Oh my gosh, Hungary. I'm so tired of Hungary. I am so tired of Hungary. I'm watching you from vacay with my fiance in Orlando, Florida. Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, congratulations. Also, Jack the Rocky is asking, is Torque's last interview lost hold a little bit? The reason for this is because it takes about 3 hours to transcribe and translate Torque's interviews because they're in the original language, and then they also need to be voiced over, and the voiceover needs to be matched with the timing of his speech. So all in all, it takes about 7 hours to edit all of this stuff, and New York. All in all, it takes about 7 hours to edit the Torque video, and unfortunately, I haven't had the time to do it because I've been so busy behind the scenes working on some very exciting stuff that's hopefully going to come to fruition very soon. But it's been a lot to deal with. Matt does an amazing job on voiceovers. Yes, Matt is fantastic. I'm very, very lucky and very, very grateful to have Matt. But Matt is fantastic. Matt is just great. I don't know if Matt is in the chat right now, but yes, I'm fangirling over Matt. Matt is great, and he is very good. He's very good at doing things like that. Not a butter. You asked what I needed. Well, I need an extra monitor for editing because it's just really freaking hard. There is also this like monitor thing for the camera that basically shows you when it's like I'll show you what it is. but it helps like show when it's in focus, when things are in focus, when things are not in focus. Because one of the worst parts of filming YouTube videos is that a lot of times I don't see if I focus the camera properly, and then I will send it to John, and half of the footage is blurry, and then I have to reshoot it, which takes a very long time. But it's I don't know what it's called, but it's this kind of thing. So this is the thing that would make my life incredibly easier, because it monitors focus, it monitors colors, it monitors f-stop and stuff like that, and it will be incredibly convenient. But these things are very stupidly expensive, and I don't know what they're called because my husband showed them to me, and yeah, they're called a monitor, I guess. What are you doing job-wise? Job-wise, I have quit my job in April or May to do this full-time, and I live off of savings, but also I'm currently switching careers into journalism, because in doing journalism about Ukraine and activism and advocacy, I actually found that I really enjoy this kind of work. And so that's what's been happening. Okay. So here is the funny photo that Ukrainians have been laughing at. So Charles Michel and Denis Shmyhal, the Prime Minister of Ukraine, look very much like twins. So where do you think Charles Michel is compared to Denis Shmyhal? Which one do you think Charles Michel is, and which one do you think Denis Shmyhal is? Because they look quite identical. I don't know if I'm seeing double. So this has been a very fun joke in the info space of Ukraine. So, well, hint. I believe this is Charles Michel, and I believe this is Denis Shmyhal. I could be wrong because it is quite hard to distinguish, but yeah, left is Ukrainian. That's true. Hi, Karine. Hi, Sandra. Oh, sorry, Karine, you've been here. I just, it's like Bollywood. Yeah, well, it's like buddy doubles, you know? Okay, Moldovan President Maya Sandu. Oh, thank you, Truthful. Hi. Moldovan President Maya Sandu asked Western allies for air defense systems. We understand that Ukraine is a priority, but we also hope to get a part, she said. Missiles fell 3 times in Moldova during Russia's massive attacks on Ukraine. The strikes in Ukraine's energy infrastructure reverberated in Moldova, forcing emergency blackouts. The Moldovan government then decided to increase the defense budget for 2023 to strengthen air defense. Also, speaking of air defense, so here is a very, very funny, well, not funny, but here is a troll rhetoric that started circulating online right around the tragedy in Dnipro. And this, if you guys don't know what gaslighting really looks like, I will demonstrate it to you with this troll rhetoric. Trolls were saying that, first of all, because Arestovich said something, it was a Ukrainian air defense missile that fell down on the high-rise in Dnipro. Then when that didn't stick, because obviously there were videos from every angle showing that it was a Russian Kh-22 missile, they started saying that this is what happens. Ukraine's air defense is garbage. And Ukraine puts its citizens in danger by our air defense being garbage. And that what ends up happening with Ukraine is that we miss Russian missiles, kill our own people, and then blame Russia for shooting those missiles, while it's actually us who couldn't take them down. And then we just come out and we blame Russia and everything, even though it's Ukraine's fault that the missile landed. When I heard that, I was like, I'm sorry, my brain is... I'm receiving brain damage purely from reading this, because let me get this straight. So Russia shot an enormous amount of missiles on Ukraine. Let's say our air defense wasn't capable of taking them down, so they landed on the building. So they landed on the building. So cause and effect here. Russia attacked Ukraine, missile landed on the building, people died. No, but Russian trolls are saying that it is actually Ukraine's fault because Soviet air defense systems are garbage. Like, you know, the time that the missile fell in Poland and Ukraine blamed Russia anyway? And I'm like, see, like, this argument is so incredibly stupid that you don't even know what to say to it. And that's gaslighting, because you find yourself thinking that you are crazy and you can't find an argument to shoot back because it's such a ridiculously crazy argument to begin with that you can't even say anything to it. It's like, no. Whatever you want to add in between, Russia shot missiles, and if Ukraine's air defense wasn't capable of taking them down, if something happened because of Russian airstrike and attack on Ukraine, it is still Russia's fault. Because at the end of the day, the perpetrator is Russia, not Ukraine. You can't blame a victim for defending itself and for not being strong enough to defend itself in certain situations. Are you kidding me? Anyways, Germany's new defense minister, Boris Pistorius, does not consider the delivery of American Abrams battle tanks to Ukraine a condition for the possible delivery of German battle tanks. I'm not aware of any such connection, the politician said on Thursday evening on ARD. Asked whether Germany would supply battle tanks without the United States, Pistorius said that Chancellor Olaf Scholz is discussing this issue with US President Joe Biden. I wonder if Olaf Scholz has found his balls yet, because this is probably one of the funniest memes that I saw online, and I will show it to you in the brief, so stay tuned. But yeah, the Netherlands is ready to pay for Leopard tanks to be sent to Ukraine. Here's the thing. There is like a whole coalition of countries. Some of them are ready to quite literally send their tanks, and some of them are ready to pay for Ukraine to get Leopards. They just need Germany's permission. And so everybody in the world right now is quite critical of Germany because there are so many countries that are just ready to go, ready to do it. And Germany is just standing in the way for absolutely no reason, because at this point, it's like a couple of countries have put their potential together and they could send Ukraine more than 100 Leopards all together. So Germany wouldn't even have to budge. Like, Germany wouldn't even have to send, really, like, at least those. And nope. And nope. The United States announced another package of military aid to Ukraine totaling $2.5 billion. It includes additional missiles for NASAMS air defense systems, 8 Avenger self-propelled anti-aircraft missile systems, 59 M2 Bradley infantry fighting vehicles with additional ammunition, 90 Stryker armored personnel carriers, 53 armored vehicles with mine protection, 350 HMWV armored vehicles, additional HARM anti-radar missiles, and additional missiles for HIMARS. Tens of thousands of artillery and mortar shells of various calibers, command posts, ammunition mines, night vision devices, spare parts, and much more. Hi, Drew. Speaking about the nature of wars going viral in Ukraine. Let me see if it's, yeah, oh my gosh. Okay, so there is this video of Andrzej Duda talking about the nature of war, and I am going to show it to you full screen. I just wanted to make sure there is English translation to it, because I didn't even, I understand Polish, so I didn't even, I mentally didn't even register whether there was a translation to either one of these languages. No. Stop. And Mindy? I don't know. I don't know who more is. I don't know who Min is. Okay, let me see. You guys know that I need to do my setup, but yeah, this video of Duda has been going pretty viral, and it's a very interesting video. I really want you guys to see it.
Bardzo często nie chce tego widzieć i doskonale Państwo to wiecie. Świat odwraca głowę. Dlatego trzeba pokazywać to w sposób zdecydowany. Stąd tak bardzo dziękuję jako sąsiad Ukrainy, jako ten, który był w Borodjance, jako ten, który widział Irpień zaraz po wypchnięciu stamtąd Rosjan. Co to znaczy ta wojna? Że ona tak naprawdę niczym nie różni się od II wojny światowej. To nie jest jakaś delikatna wojna XXI wieku, czy też wojna odbywająca się na monitorach. Wojna brutalna, straszna, w której ludzie tracą życie, tracą dorobek całego życia, tracą nadzieję i która musi zostać zatrzymana. Rosjanie muszą zostać zatrzymani. Ona może się zakończyć tylko w jeden sposób, przez to, że zostaną pokonani, wypchnięci z Ukrainy. Musimy zrobić wszystko, żeby tak się stało, a ci, którzy dopuszczają się zbrodni wojennych, muszą zostać ukarani. A do kobiet i dzieci w Polsce mówię, nie martwcie się, odbudujemy Ukrainę piękniejszą niż była.
So yeah, that's the viral video of Andrzej Duda talking about what war really is like when you're not experiencing it on the screen. And this video was this speech was very well received in Ukraine, and he was talking about how Ukraine is going to be rebirthed even more beautiful than it was before. And here's the thing, I really love this speech. I think it was a great speech, but also, like, you know, it's so difficult to talk about politicians and the climate of the war in Ukraine. Because there are a lot of politicians, thank you, Loyalty, I really appreciate it. There are a lot of politicians that say and do incredibly amazing things for Ukraine, mostly because they're people, because they want the support of their people, and the people support Ukraine, right? And also maybe because they support Ukraine, we don't know. But those politicians are, so this is that, see, this is exactly the comment that makes it so difficult. So Don Lutkenhoff. Hi. So Don Lutkenhoff on TikTok says Duda is awesome. So here is the thing. Polish people absolutely despise him because he is anti-human rights. He's anti-LGBTQIA+. He is anti-abortion. He's a theocratic leader who has a stronghold on his country, and Polish people are, you know, Duda is not a good guy. Duda is a terrible, horrible man. He's a terrible, horrible man to his country. And he has some really disturbing views and beliefs, like incredibly disturbing. But at the same time, you know, his support for Ukraine and his support to Zelensky and the way that he's been advocating in the EU to give Ukraine everything that Ukraine needs, it's like, you know, it's such a dichotomy. It feels very, very odd, because on certain occasions, I really want to give him credit where credit is due, where I really, really appreciate the things he says. But I also don't want to create an image of him as this great man around the world when he's not. So yeah, so it's really, you know, so it's a really, really kind of like difficult thing to navigate, because I want to be respectful to Poland and Polish people, because I understand everything and I fully agree with their opinion on him. But also, at certain times, the things that he does do and the things that he does say regarding Ukraine are powerful and they are very big. And I think that all of us agree that the only thing that he has done right so far is that, and I think English people agree with too. I'm going to show you an address that is also quite powerful, and I think that it's worth seeing. Veronica says, he's like Scholz. He sometimes has good speech, but nothing happened after it. Empty promises. Well, that's not quite true because he did make a lot happen for Ukraine. Poland has been advocating for a lot of stuff for Ukraine, and Poland has been like very, very, very strong on EU to like get things done. So he does get things done.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Estonia, for hosting us today. It was important to come here because while we're often focused on Ukraine, we shouldn't forget that countries like the countries in the Baltics are right on the front line of Russia, who may or may not seek to put pressure on those neighbors. And as you stand here in this hangar, you have Danish tanks, you have French military serving here, you have British and Estonian doing the other part of the job, which is reassurance on the borders and boundaries of NATO, that we are determined to defend ourselves as well as support Ukraine. When President Putin started the invasion on the 24th of February, he made a number of assumptions. The first one being that Ukrainians would not fight. The second one being that his superior military, as he thought about it, would quickly crush any resistance, and by now, in fact within 3 weeks, he would be pretty much in control of Ukraine. And finally, he banked on the fact that he thought the international community was fickle, that it wouldn't stick together, that we wouldn't see it through, and indeed by now we'd have all got bored and been bullied by high energy prices. Well, none of those have turned out to be true. 2023 is about demonstrating to Putin that that last point, the point that the international community isn't fractured, that the international community is more than ever determined to stand by Ukraine to see it through. You know, we are here today and we'll be here tomorrow in Ramstein in the United States, hosted a Ramstein conference with many more of our both NATO partners but also other non-NATO nations to make it very clear to President Putin that we will continue to donate, continue to train and continue to stand by Ukraine. Because if President Putin is banking on us getting bored this year, he's wrong. We will plan for this year and next year and the year after and beyond. And as the Prime Minister of Finland, I think, referenced yesterday, this is for the long haul. We're in it for the long haul. But in 2023, it's time to turn the momentum that the Ukrainians have achieved in pushing back Russia into gains and making sure that Russia understands that the purpose now is to push them back out of Ukraine and to restore Ukraine's sovereignty, which is their right under international law. It's their right in being able to defend themselves, and it's also in their right because it is the same rights we all enjoy as free members of Europe to hold up to human rights and international standards. The United Kingdom has unlocked a number of packages in the last year. We're going further. Beginning of this week, I announced to Parliament that we will send a squadron of Challenger 2 main battle tanks to Ukraine. We will send at least 3 batteries of AS-90 155 long-range deep-fire artillery. We will send a number of armoured vehicles, including the, I think it's the Bulldog, which is a variant of the old 432 armoured personnel carrier, thousands of rounds of ammunition, and today I can say we're also going to send another 600 Brimstone missiles into theatre, which will be incredibly important in helping Ukraine dominate the battlefield. We'll be working tomorrow with obviously the United States and others to make sure that this package is put into Ukraine in the right way, that it enables Ukraine, and underlying all of that is the enduring training package that we are all engaged in around not only Europe but also in the United Kingdom. We've just started, as of this week, another round of training, basic training in Ukrainians. Britain's aim is to train at least 20,000. There may be more training, and we are helped by that from everyone from Lithuania, Denmark, Sweden, Finland, Australia, New Zealand, I'm just trying to run it, Estonia here, and the Dutch as well. So we've got a significant number of nations helping out, and we're going to carry on. So if the message from this is one thing, it's we're not going anywhere, Mr. Putin. We're here for the long haul. We're standing by Ukraine. You need to recalculate. You need to make a change. You need to leave Ukraine, return it to its sovereign borders, and uphold the international law that you say you respect. Thank you.
The one thing that I disagree with is I don't think that Putin ever said he respects international law. In fact, a lot of Putin's politicians and a lot of his government figures said that that law doesn't apply to Russia and it's not going to be upheld in Russia. So I brilliant speech. And yes, it's incredible to hear that, in fact, no one's going anywhere, and that based on actions, not just words, it does look like most countries are finally waking up to wanting to defeat Russia militarily and not wait for it and give Ukraine everything Ukraine needs to do so. And but at the same time, it's just funny that someone said, oh, the international laws you say you uphold, like, he never said that, because he doesn't. Anyways, so you know how Russians really love to try and nitpick and cherry pick Azov tattoos. So here is a Wagner mercenary and his tattoos.
Я Лукола Владимир Владимирович, номер жетона К-47-210, приехал бороться с нацистами. Повернись. Сколько человек?
Ты боец Вагнера? Да. Повернись ко мне обратно.
Да, я из ЧВК Вагнер. Я Лукола Владимир Владимирович.
It's funny because he says I came to fight Nazis, and he has actual Nazi tattoos. Yeah, it's a very interesting how a neo-Nazi came to fight Nazis. Okay. Charles Michel spoke in the Verkhovna Rada. He said, I dream that a Ukrainian will head the European Commission or the Euro Parliament one day. In the morning, Russians shelled Kramatorsk. A missile fell near a kindergarten. Putin's residence in Moscow region has air defense systems installed next to it. Someone scared? Looks like someone's a little scared. There are also air defense systems that have been installed on high-rises in various parts of Moscow too. Finland will provide Ukraine with a new military aid package worth a record 400 million euros. It seems like an overwhelming support. Hopefully this will make the difference. It should make a huge difference on the battlefield. There is also a missile that the US is discussing sending to Ukraine that would make an incredible flip on the battlefield. I just saw an update that the US, thank you, Camille, that the US has asked Ukraine to hold off on the counteroffensive until all of the modern weapons arrive. Interesting. The 8th meeting of the contact group on Ukraine's defense has begun at Ramstein Air Base in Germany. The meeting is attended by defense ministers from nearly 50 countries, including Ukraine's defense minister, Oleksiy Reznikov. The issue of providing tanks to Ukraine may be resolved today. That was at 5:19 a.m., and we have had some updates since then, so hold tight. Here is a new portion of Russian Madness. I know Veronica is going to appreciate this one. Also, you guys, if you watch my briefs on YouTube, which if you don't, why? Why is it that you don't watch them? Because I'm watching you, okay? I'm kidding. I'm not that pushy, but you know, the briefs are very convenient and there are lots of reasons to watch them. So if you haven't watched them, you should give them a try. But if you green once, if you want portion called Russian Madness, which is basically me picking out most ridiculous stuff that happens in Russia or in Russian TV with this funny kind of like ironic Russian music in the background and kind of talking about how ridiculous it is. Veronica loves that section of the brief. And in the past two briefs, that section has not been present. And there is a reason why. Because Russian Madness is becoming either a bi-month, either a twice a month separate segment or a monthly separate segment where I'm just going to be picking out the best of. And we're going to do it in a form of like, you know how music charts are done where it's like at number 10. So we're going to do that. And it's going to have its own, hi, Vernona, good to see you. And it's going to have its own kind of segment where you can just absorb all the Russian madness that happened either in the last 2 weeks or in the last month. And I am going to rate them from my least favorite to my most favorite. And I hope that you guys will either agree or disagree with me. And we can discuss, because I personally, I don't think that this quite fits into the brief. It's funny, but I want briefs to be more informational and kind of funny, but not like quite Russian Madness funny. I don't want it to take up as much space there as it does, but I still do want to show you Russian Madness because madness there is a lot. And so for that, it's going to become its own entertainment sort of segment. So yeah. So without further ado, Russian Madness.
Честно, если Россия должна жить вот в таком же сатанистском состоянии, как вот это вот Америка, Европа, то по сути своей лучше нам всем погибнуть, наверное, будучи мучениками и попасть в рай, нежели эти сатанисты, фашисты захватят и Россию тоже, и после этого этот мир потихоньку скатится в такое состояние, в котором, наверное, говорить о человечности вообще не придется. Я знаю, что Америка, Европа, они, конечно, не готовы зайти так далеко, чтобы они могли потерять свои жизни. Они свои жизни любят больше, чем мы любим смерть.
Yes, the Satanist cults of Ukraine, and the Satanist cults of Europe in which we all live and prosper. Also, Sandra, they should be ranked on ridiculousness, not how much you like them. Well, yes, that's what they're gonna be ranked on, but again, it's the ridiculousness is subjective, right? Because to me, something can be more ridiculous than it is to you. So yeah. Then we love death. Yeah. I also love how Russians are always talking about how they need to defend their country from Europe and from the Satanists in Ukraine. Meanwhile, no one has tried to even enter their territory. And like Ukraine has said on multiple occasions that even if we had all the opportunities to do so, we don't want that mud pile. It's interesting how they're protecting their own country on a territory of a different country, right? From Satanists, because the Nazis didn't stick. The meeting at Ramstein began with an address by Volodymyr Zelensky. He asked the allies to speed up the transfer of weapons, and at the end of his speech, he called for long-range missiles and F-16 fighters to be provided to Ukraine. Meanwhile, the media reported that the Dutch foreign minister announced that he was considering the possibility of transferring F-16s. To be more precise, Wopke Hoekstra told NL Times that the Netherlands would consider this issue if Kyiv asked for it. Kyiv is asking for it, believe me. Kyiv will take anything Kyiv can get. The air alert has been all over the country in Ukraine. But also, this is huge that the Netherlands is considering doing that. The Netherlands is also the Netherlands also wants to pay for leopards. Like the Netherlands is really, really stepping up their aid, and it's amazing. It's so wonderful and so kind. One second. Russia is running out of ammunition and has suffered significant combat losses, said Pentagon chief to the CNN. IAEA had shared some disturbing news, and that is the situation at ZNPP is deteriorating. I observed that the situation around Zaporizhia is deteriorating. With the development, thank you, truthful, of the conflict, you know that it is getting hotter on the Eastern Front. Therefore, I believe that now, more than ever, it is important and urgent to take interim measures to protect the nuclear facility. He noted that he was concerned that the creation of the security zone around the Zaporizhia NPP was not going as fast as expected. He emphasized that it is important to support this initiative, so Grossi will continue negotiations with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and the Russians. So if you guys don't know this, there are going to be 2 permanent representatives of the IAEA at each Ukrainian nuclear power plant, obviously, except for the one at Zaporizhia, because Russians are occupying it and have turned it into a equipment repair facility. The Swiss authorities are ready to give the frozen assets of Russians for the restoration of Ukraine, but this requires a legal framework. The country has already frozen 8.2 billion of Russian assets. Swiss banks are categorically against it. Bankers say that this will undermine Switzerland's status as a financial center and will be a death sentence for banks. Well, here's the thing. Switzerland is a neutral country. During World War II, it held on to Nazi assets and to Nazi money in the banks, and it did not surrender it for reparations. Now it's holding on to Russian assets and Russian money, even though it froze it, but it wasn't willing to surrender it for reparations. But the thing is that this is not neutrality. This is a choice, and this is taking a side. Because in this situation, there is no such thing as we are neutral by holding on to Russian money and refusing to release them. This is not a death sentence to Swiss banks. Swiss banks are some of the most protected in the world. Their reputation is going to stay the way it is. It's not like it's a minor little conflict and they need to decide. It is the largest conflict since World War II. Switzerland has made a wrong choice in World War II and protected the Nazis instead of protecting the people who suffered from the Nazis. This is the chance to make it right this time. The government of the Czech Republic and Slovakia are also ready to give Ukraine their Leopard tanks. They're waiting for permission from Germany. These countries have already given Ukraine their old Soviet tanks. In return, Germany was to replace them with Western Leopard 2A4 tanks. The Czech Republic and Slovakia are proposing to refuse these German supplies for now and transfer the tanks that were intended for their armies to Ukraine. In total, it is about 30 Leopards. Reuters writes that at the Rammstein meeting, European leaders called on Berlin to give the green light for the delivery of those tanks. You know, it's very nice because Greece did a similar thing the other week where they said Ukraine is priority and they're willing to wait. And I think it's so beautiful and so incredible that everybody is standing together behind Ukraine and are saying, no, this decision is wrong. We want to give them tanks. We're not going to take our tanks. We're going to take away all the excuses that you can use to not give them tanks. German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius announced a spring package of military aid to Ukraine worth more than €1 billion. It will include 40 Marder armored personnel carriers, another Iris-T air defense system, and additional missiles, the Patriot system, and 7 Gepard self-propelled anti-aircraft guns. There will be no tanks in this package. The minister added the training of Ukrainian specialists on BMPs and Patriot will begin in late January. He also added that Germany will check its stocks of Leopard tanks. The Pentagon's press conference on the results of Rammstein 8 has begun. No decision was made at the Rammstein meeting to supply Ukraine with Leopard 2 tanks, Polish Defense Minister Mariusz Błaszczak said. At the same time, he said he was convinced that the coalition will be successful. Poland is putting together a coalition of countries who are to pressure Germany to give a green light to the transfer of Leopards. When asked directly whether Germany is doing enough to support Ukraine, U.S. Defense Secretary Austin supported the NATO ally and then immediately dodged the question. Yes, but we can all do more. According to U.S. estimates, Russia has been able to mobilize up to 250,000 troops for the war in Ukraine out of 300,000, U.S. General Milley said. In addition, he stated that Russian casualties significantly exceed 100,000. Ukraine is unlikely to be able to drive Russia out of its entire territory as a result of a military victory in 2023, says U.S. General Mark Milley. Ukraine can conduct a tactical or operational offensive to move the needle, and the United States will provide enhanced maneuver training. Canada has already purchased the NASAMS systems for Ukraine, U.S. Secretary of Defense Austin at a press conference. Russia planned to carry out a coup in Bulgaria, according to Bellingcat. Russia's military intelligence developed a plan to carry out a coup d'etat in Bulgaria in 2016. Hi, I'm Sapu. Which was thwarted after the preventative arrest of its participants, said Christo Grozev, executive director of the Bellingcat Investigative Group. According to him, more than 700 militants were supposed to cause riots in the parliament, start shooting, and try to seize power. The operation was supported by the Russian Orthodox Church. Surprise, surprise. The coup attempt failed due to the preventative arrest of hundreds of parliamentary members, of whom only 36 managed to get to Sofia. But also, I'm not a fan of Christo Grozev. He says a lot of stuff like, oh, Ukraine means borderland, which is Russian rhetoric. He does say a lot of quite, oddly, I wouldn't say necessarily pro-Russian, but, microaggressive to Ukraine, and then says things like he will discount Ukrainian opinions and say that I'm entitled to this opinion. I've spent so much time reporting in Ukraine, and I've talked about Ukraine so much that I know better, basically. And it's like, okay, you're not Ukrainian, and you're being incredibly condescending, and you're quite frankly being a D-I-C-K. So please stop. So I'm not a fan of Christo Grozev. I would not follow him on Twitter. I think that he says a lot of very damaging stuff, and he's incredibly condescending, self-serving, and incredibly narcissistic to an abnormal degree, and he feels entitled. Okay. But obviously he does know a lot about Bulgaria. However, he did say today, I sent it, I was looking just at it, and he was saying something about about how when he was doing his research, Russia, before the full-scale invasion, Russia is definitely capable of conducting a nuclear strike. And it's such fear-mongering and warmongering. He's just basically saying no. Russia is gonna use nukes if it wants to. And it's not, first of all, not true, because no one else agrees with him. Second of all, that's a Russian rhetoric. That's a repetition of a Russian rhetoric. And I wouldn't just say that if it was one thing that he said, because I'd be like, okay, well, that's his opinion. But then again, he says a lot of stuff that's very, very alarming. Rosatom may be involved in the supply of raw materials and electronics to the Russian armed forces, taking advantage of the fact that it has not yet been sanctioned due to its importance to the Western market, according to an investigation by the Washington Post. Among other things, the company offered Russian arms manufacturers aluminum oxide, an important component for rocket fuel, as well as lithium-ion batteries to power tanks and other weapons. Customs records show that at least one Rosatom subsidiary has imported lithium-ion battery components worth at least $1 million from South Korea since the start of the full-scale war. And that is how they circumvent the sanctions. Ukraine's Deputy Foreign Minister Andriy Melnik called on the German side to stop the show with the tanks. We call on the new defense minister, Boris Pistorius, to stop this tank puppet show in Ramstein and immediately start deliveries of Leopards. It's almost like sometimes Germany just wants to make it harder for Ukraine to make progress, The main points from Zelensky's address tonight. Today is the day of the Rammstein meeting, and the defense news for Ukraine that our diplomatic marathon brings week after week. It is not always possible to publicly announce what is being discussed in the Rammstein format. This is a closed discussion, and that's the way it should be. In general, we can summarize that today's Rammstein will strengthen our resilience. Our partners are principled in their attitude. They will support Ukraine as long as necessary for our victory. Yes, we will still have to fight for the supply of modern tanks, but every day we make it more obvious that there is no alternative to the fact that the decision on tanks must be made. Portugal will send Ukraine 14 M113 armored vehicles, 8 powerful power generators, 120 millimeter ammunition, and 2 tons of medical and sanitary equipment. The U.S. Treasury Department is recognizing Russia's Wagner PMC as a transnational criminal organization. National Security Council spokesman John Kirby. Oh, does that mean that Meta might start blocking and removing posts about Wagner? Are they? Because I don't know, they have been removing and blocking posts about Azov, and Mikhailo Fedorov, our Minister of Digital Transformation, had to have a literal month-long discussion fight with them for that to stop happening yesterday. And Wagner, for some reason, is still free reigning over Meta, no problem. No issue at all. So yeah. That is all I have for you for today. That's an interesting note to end the news on. They should ban Wagner. Agreed. That's the whole point, that, it's kind of hypocritical that they would make such a big fuss and such a big deal out of Azov that actually has no evidence of them ever committing any far right related crimes. Meanwhile, Wagner, that beats up gay people and does have a large history of committing genocidal crimes, is okay. It's totally fine to talk about. Why not? Yeah. Thank you, Dubsy. So yeah, that's all I have for today. You guys let me know if you have any questions or suggestions or discussion. Hi, John. And I will try to answer them to the best of my ability. And if not, I'm going to go pet my dog. Thank you, Karine. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I would show you the dog, but the dog is snoozing, and she's snoozing so, she's so cute. I don't want to disturb her. Oh, thank you, Arabella. Thank you guys for listening to the news. Oy. And also, you guys who are on Patreon, if you haven't seen the post that I posted, please let me know what you would like to see on Patreon, what kind of content, and I will be listening to your suggestions and adding more content of that way. So far, I've understood that people just want to see more of behind the scenes live and stuff like that. The new schedule is 12:30 Tuesday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hi, Dragons. And Eastern Standard Time, and on Tuesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. Today, I posted a little before the stream on YouTube. So if you don't follow YouTube, it's a really good resource because there is a community tab and I can put announcements there and stuff like that. And that's what I did because the live was today. I was on a work call that I couldn't miss. But also, 1 second, I forgot Armin's quote of the day. I did not see it, but I shall see it now. 1 sec. Oh, here we go. If slavery, barbarianism, and desolation are to be called peace, man can have no worse misfortune. Baruch Spinoza, submitting to evil never brings true peace. Such submission brings suffering and death. Yeah, that's the quote referring to what I said earlier. About stopping Russia and tiptoeing around Russia and holding Russian money and not giving Ukraine enough tanks. I agree with it 100%. Submitting to evil is not peace. Pacifism kills these days, and pacifism sometimes paradoxically means weapons and military defeats. abstracted away. Hi, thank you. Okay, guys. Alrighty, tomorrow live, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard. No changes. We'll see you then. And if I ever reschedule lives now, I will be posting about that in the community tab well before the live, which I tried to do today. I think it was like an hour beforehand. So, so yeah. So I shall see you tomorrow, 12:30 p.m. There should be a lot to discuss in terms of Rammstein. Happy Chinese New Year. Happy Chinese New Year. Not a bother. Alrighty. Bye. Bye, guys. Good to see you.